I'm your host, TaSheena Braxton, and I am on a mission to disrupt the industry standard that fancy titles make leaders and teaching my clients how to become leaders and get their own seats at the table. Every week, I will explore a topic that impacts women of color. I will unpack the topic and provide learning so that you can feel equipped to step into leadership. I went from laid off to an entry-level job to a mid-level multiple six figures role where I wasn't the highest on the org chart, but I was able to sit in rooms with CEOs, CFOs, and CMOs without a fancy title. As a mom of 4, a wife, and the eldest daughter of 6, I know what it means to lead in every aspect of your life and to be able to translate that into the workplace. Welcome to the Leadership Beyond the Title podcast. So glad to have you here. Now let's get into it. Hi, y'all. Welcome back to the Leadership Beyond the Title podcast. I'm your host, TaSheena Braxton. And in today's episode, I want to go deeper on what leadership actually really looks like and kind of expand your view about what leadership is. Because more and more I'm seeing women of color who believe that the only way to be considered a leader is to get a promotion, is to have more responsibility. And they are just not here for it. They do not want to have that level of responsibility in their careers. And so they're like, that ain't what I'm trying to do. And if this is you, if you're someone who is like, TaSheena, this is not going to work out, this is not going to be the level of responsibility that I want, then this episode is for you. So let's dive in. Now, recently I did a TikTok. So I'm new to TikTok. I'm like trying it out. I'm seeing, how it works. It's a lot of fun because there's not all the editing. I can just show up as I am. I can be authentic. I can share the resources and the expertise that I have. And I put on there that I help women of color get a promotion or land a leadership opportunity. And someone came back to me and they're like, yeah, no, I don't want that promotion. I don't want to have a promotion. I just want to go to work. I want to be cool. I don't want to have to sacrifice my time, my energy, my space. I don't want to be stressed out. And I get it. But here is what I want you to know. Leadership doesn't just look like moving up the corporate ladder. There's so many different elements of leadership that I think we overlook as women of color because we have been taught that leadership looks one particular way. And because of that, and especially if you are in that camp where you're like, I don't want to move up, I want to keep it just like it is, you may find yourself stuck in your career for a much longer extended period of time because the only way that you see leadership, getting more money, promotions, landing leadership opportunity as I have to get a formal title. Okay. And what I also found is that women of color feel like if I do become a leader, I'm going to have to kiss that ring. I'm going to have to shapeshift. I'm going to have to do what I got to do just to survive. How many of y'all know somebody who is like, I just show up to work to do what I have to do. And if they tell me to jump, I'm going to say how high because I need to get this money. And I am not here to make that a problem. I am not here to kind of get in the way of my money making opportunity because I got to do what I got to do for money. And I know that comes from a trauma response because a lot of us have been taught that if we don't obey the rules, if we don't abide by authority, that we won't be able to elevate or expand into our careers. And so when we think about that, we start to think, well, if I got to do all of that, I might as well just stay right where I'm at. And that doesn't help anything, especially long term, if you're really trying to do things personally Like a lot of people like to travel, people want to start families, people want to get married, people want to just do, start businesses, do amazing things. And if you only see leadership as climbing up the corporate ladder and you really don't want to do that, then what? You definitely shouldn't have to give up your power. You definitely shouldn't have to give up your time. You shouldn't have to sacrifice, your personal well-being. You shouldn't have to do that in order to climb up the ladder. And so as I'm like going through this and I'm thinking about what this person said on my post, I'm thinking, wow, like there's so much to expand or to blow this up and to just show you that leadership isn't just a one size fits all way. If we think about what you really want in your life, it is the flexibility. It is the respect. It is to create impact. It is absolutely to make money. But if you believe that the means to get there is a promotion, that is the only one and only way, we are definitely going to be looked over. We're definitely going to not have the opportunities that we could have. And so I want to share with you one of the many ways that I have found to step into a leadership role while not taking on additional responsibility that I didn't want and still being seen as an expert, as a leader. And that is being able to dive into mentorship. And I'm not talking about mentorship for yourself, although that is a way to grow your career. But what I want to talk about is how do you become a mentor for someone else? Because mentorship is actually one of the easiest and kind of like passive ways. Passive in a sense of like you don't have to take on all the formal responsibility that, a leadership formal title brings. But you still have the ability to learn on the job. You're helping someone else. And literally you are establishing yourself as a leader and showing how you have the ability or the potential to lead someone else and develop people into somebody who they want to be, help them in their career, and just be an all over resource. So let me tell you how this actually worked for me. So this has happened vividly in my career 2 times. The first time was when I was an administrative assistant. So when I was in this role, I was literally like the buddy. They called it a buddy, right? And so this person would come to me for advice, for best practices. They would come to me if they needed support in their career or in their new role, if they were an admin, if they needed just anything, right? And I became that person who was able to kind of say, okay, these are the do's and don'ts. This is what you need to watch out for. These are some blind spots that I'm seeing that you just want to be careful or mindful of. This is how you do A, B, and C. This is the process. This is how you navigate the politics, like all the things, right? Because, we see kind of the administrative administrative assistant role as something that is sort of like at the bottom of the totem pole. If we don't call it totem pole, at the bottom of the org chart or the bottom of the ladder. And we see this position as a position that's not very much having authority, right? But if you've been around your admin and you know an admin, admin holds the keys to the purse, y'all. Like we know everything about what's happening because people are coming to us, they're venting to us, they're asking us for things. We literally know what's happening in the organization, on the team, whatever. And so I was able to really help this individual really come into themselves as an administrative assistant and just be there for them. Like really, it's truly about being a resource. Again, no formal title, no extra money, but the visibility it brought, I trust TaSheena. She's doing a really good job and she's really being supportive, not only from the person that I'm helping, but the senior leaders are now like, wow, okay, we can count on her to really develop and train and educate the people that are coming into the organization. And so the visibility alone is golden. it is a return on my investment of my time to this individual. But the second way that I also did it was when I became a coach, which was at the director level. And I was a director without direct people manage. Like, I wasn't a people manager. I didn't have people reporting into me. However, I was leading an employee resource group. Actually, I was leading two of them. I was leading like a pod within my team, and I was just a coach. Like, at the level, I was a coach in the organization internally. And we used to have this rotation program where employees would rotate in and rotate out. They would learn our skills, because our philosophy was, how do we transfer the skills that we have on long to someone else, which is similar to what I do now. Like, I really want to transfer the skills that I know to other people so that they know how to live, how to walk, how to do the things that they can do easy, simple, without the stress, without the burnout. Like, how do you do it, right? And so that was my role. And so as these people were coming through, I was asked again to allow someone to shadow me, and coaching is my soul's work. And so I was super excited to just be able to have somebody who I can teach and train and direct and guide and help and support them to become the best versions of themselves. Because if anybody knows this, if you are a coach, not only are you coaching others, but there's a lot of deep internal coach work that's happening for yourself. Like, we are not on a boat by ourselves as coaches, and we're not just learning on our, teaching everybody else. We have to do our own work. We have to become aware. We have to know what are our blind spots. We have to know where trauma is showing up. We have to know all of these things. And so me being able to not only coach and mentor this person really stood me out, because now there's another level of somewhat like accountability that wasn't really formal, but there was a level of accountability that really is placed on you to show you, to separate you from those people who aren't, right? Of course, people with formal titles, leaders, they're going to be seen as somebody who can do all the things. And then you have people like myself who don't necessarily have people reporting into them, aren't considered the managers, aka leaders, because we conflate those two words. But I digress. And we kind of like have this ability as a leader to, be able to have somebody to lead them, right? And in this role, people were starting to see me as a leader, right? Without direct reports. And so these two examples were ways that I wasn't the highest on the org chart, but I was given a huge responsibility to shape someone else's career, and not only shape someone else's career, but to actually shape the organization so that everybody is on the same page. And this is exactly what leadership is. And this is why mentorship is a way for you to step into your leadership without having a formal title. Because guess what? I did get the bonuses. I did get the extra pay. I did get the certificates for, extraordinary behavior. My bonuses at times were almost six figures, just the bonus, because of the amazing work that I was doing, y'all. Like, when I tell you, you do not have to see a promotion or see leadership as only stepping into a formal title. You truly can be a leader without all that responsibility, but doing the things that you love to do. I always tell people I am a teacher at heart. And so mentorship is like another way to teach. Coaching is another way to teach. So it doesn't feel like it's added responsibility. It really feels like I'm stepping into my soul's work, and I'm stepping into what I am supposed to do. Okay. So now I hear you saying, I know. You're like, TaSheena, okay, that's cool. But how do I become a mentor? Because if people don't see me as a leader yet, they're not going to ask me to be their mentor. They're not going to come to me and say, like, can you mentor this person? They might, however, use other words. So you might hear things like, can this person shadow you? Can you be this person's buddy? Can you help train this person? Can you show them the ropes? Can you walk them and introduce them to people? Like, it's going to come kind of like silent. It's going to be in a different way than what you're normally used to. And so I just want you to be open to that and to be able to notice when those things are happening or when they're being said to you, because that is an indication that people see you as a leader in some capacity, and you have to snatch it when it comes. Okay. Don't let that pass you by. Be able to snatch it when it comes and be able to take on that responsibility. So here's how you can become a mentor to someone else, even if you don't have a formal title. So the first thing is look for informal mentoring moments. So like I said, sometimes you're being asked or you're being requested, or even people will come to you and say, hey, I got a question for you. I'm like curious about this. I really don't want to ask anybody else. I kind of trust you. Like, these are ways that people will come to you, and you're not like the formal leader, but they're looking at you as the formal leader, right? So if there is somebody on your team who's asking you questions a lot, or, somebody on your team who checks in with you and is saying like, can you do this, A, B, and C, and they're trying to give you more responsibility, take that as an opportunity that you may be sticking out to them as somebody who can be a mentor, who can lead, right? And if the word mentor is like off-putting to you, don't use it. It's fine. But are you the one that people can come to because you're the expert? Are you the person that people come to because you know how to teach or train, or you're smart, or you're organized, or you really have good ideas? Like, are you that person? If you're that person, that is a way to step into your the mentorship or the expertise that you have and lead. That's what I want you to know. So grab those moments, notice those moments, be aware of those moments, and say, oh, okay, this is that opportunity that I have to step in as a leader without all the funky little sacrificing of time and energy and more stress, and just do something I love. This is that opportunity. So look for those mentoring moments. The other thing is you have to be vocal about your willingness to help. A lot of y'all don't even say like, I'll help, because we have been trained, rightfully so, that we are not going to be anybody's like mat stepping, or like nobody going to walk all over us. We're also not going to be the people that's always raising our hand because we're not being, incentivized, or we're not getting the money for it, or, we're just not being able to do it. Now, I'll tell you, and my husband talks about me, I am the one to say, put me to work. I just have a high capacity for work. I like to work. And part of me liking to work is because if I know everything that's happening, there's a part of me that's like, if I know how to do all the things, I can't be replaceable. That I can jump in. I could be available for a different work opportunity. Because I'll tell you, going from admin to director in the job that I was at, it was unheard of. And it was unheard of because it wasn't the typical path that an administrative assistant would take. Usually an administrative will go to an operations role or chief of staff role, things that are still very much at the desk, supporting an entire team, different managers, ensuring that the office is running, things like that, right? And so I went out of that role and actually into a role where there's a lot of influencing. There's a lot of being able to direct, guide, support, being able to like create agendas and to shape how the organizational structures would be, and just like this organizational development aspect of my role, which is my background as well, and like being able to do that. And so it was unheard of. But the only reason why I got there is because I raised my hand. I was like, I'll help. I'll do it. Show me how it's done. I could be that person. It is okay. Okay. Because when you start to talk to your boss about all the things that you're willing to do, whether it's supporting a new hire or supporting someone that's maybe lower than you or the same as you in some cases, but don't have as much expertise as you do, this gives you the visibility that you really need in your career, because visibility is key, not just for promotions, like the typical formal promotions, but it is how you demonstrate your leadership. through being able to develop other people. So I really want you to just really focus on, how can I let my boss know that I am willing to help? And yes, there are going to be times where you have to have boundaries. You're going to have to say, no, I can't do that. That's a little bit above my pay grade. I'm not going. But the more you initiate it, the more it's in your control. If they initiate it and they're kind of telling you, sometimes you have to negotiate with what that looks like. This is key in order for you to step into leadership. And then the third thing is like documentations, reflecting, having your receipts. Because listen, as you are mentoring other people, you need to be tracking how you're helping them make progress. And then what you're learning about yourself as a leader, because these are receipts that you can use to demonstrate your leadership in performance reviews or even in job interviews, even if your title doesn't change to manager. Okay. And this is important because this is how we make more money. We make more money by being able to have our receipts and document exactly what we've done. Okay. So in order to become a mentor, you have to look for those mentoring moments, look for those kind of secret, sly ways that might present itself as mentorship, but they don't really say it. You also need to be vocal. If you are willing to help, say so. And then document and reflect all of your progress. Document how you're doing. Keep your receipts, keep a running list, because those receipts turn into cash, okay? It really did for my career. So let me recap with you just so that you walk away with something tangible, something that you understand about this topic. I want you to know that leadership isn't just a title. It is about influence and it's about impact. We often think that leadership is just about the money, the title, the moving up the corporate ladder. But if you have influence and you can impact someone, you're going to get more money than anybody you know. If you look around in today's society, you look at social media, if you look at politics, they're making money because they have been able to build a level of influence and impact for the world. And so people are willing to pay them, like, come on my podcast, come be a leader here, come lead in politics. Here, I want to give you some money to do A, B, and C, because of the influence and the impact they have shown as a leader. I also want you to know that mentorship is a powerful tool to build your leadership, to build your identity, to help you gain visibility, and to make an impact without sacrificing your values, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, I'm just not in alignment with who I am. Because mentorship is kind of self-driven, it's self-led, and it's something that you actually get to say yes or no to, right? So if it doesn't align with your values, don't go for it. But if it does, and it's something that aligns to a value of education, teaching, supporting, being at service, mentorship is a great way to show your leadership. And I want you to know you already have what it takes. You have the experience, you have the lived experience and the expertise to help guide other people. And so this is my charge to you. Go out and find a new way to lead. This particular way to lead is by focusing on mentorship and being a mentor for others, because leadership isn't a one size fits all, nor does it come in a perfectly created or wrapped up box for you, especially as a woman of color. I hope this episode helped you to see that leadership is more than just a title, and promotions are more than just moving up the ladder. A promotion can also be an expanded level of visibility and responsibility for yourself, because the only thing that we're after right now is make it rain, baby, make it rain. All right. Hope this episode was great for you. If you are not following me on my social channels, I am on TikTok, LinkedIn, and Instagram as Coach TaSheena. Look at the links in the show notes. You can join my email list, and I can't wait to connect with you personally. Talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Leadership Beyond the Title podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, hit like, follow, and leave a comment. Share with your friends, family members, and other women of color leaders. Inside my one-on-one leadership coaching program, I will help you become the leader that you want to be with work-life integration and peace. By tapping into networks, growing your visibility and confidence, you will go from untapped, unseen, and underrepresented to attracting opportunities to take your career and your life to the next level. I use an equity-centered lens in my approach so that you feel seen, safe, empowered, excited, and committed to attract, create, and land opportunities in an unconventional way. To work with me, join my email newsletter, or to learn more about me, click the links in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to being your coach. See you next week.